Hello, it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's Green Growth Knowledge Platform webinar. My name is Benjamin Simmons and I serve as the head of the GGKP Secretariat. Today's webinar is quite unique for us. As those of you who have attended our previous webinars know, our webinars typically focus on specific green growth themes such as indicators or climate change or trade, and we use the webinars to create a discussion and debate between leading global experts. In contrast, today's webinar will focus principally on the GGKP itself and the redesign of our web platform, which we hope will more effectively provide access to data, analysis, and tools needed by colleagues working on green growth related issues. I am fortunate today to be joined on our discussion with my colleague Amanda McKee, who leads GGKP's knowledge management and partnership engagement activities. Amanda will be providing a live demonstration of the web platform, including an introduction to the various databases we have created. Before turning over to Amanda, however, I have a few operational updates, and I also wanted to say a few words on the GGKP itself. With respect to today's webinar, we strongly encourage participants to raise questions. This can be done by typing your questions into the chat box, which can be found on the right-hand side of the webinar dashboard. Your question is submitted to our staff, who will then repost them to all of the participants and will be addressed during the Q&A period at the end. Please note that after the webinar concludes, we will be circulating a survey, and I would encourage you to complete it, as this provides us with really important and useful feedback to help shape and improve our future webinars. Finally, if you have any technical issues during the webinar, please email us at contact@ggkp.org and we will help you to troubleshoot. Now, a bit of background on the Green Growth Knowledge Platform. The GGKP was established in 2012, just before the Rio Plus 20 conference, by the Global Green Growth Institute, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the United Nations Environment Program, and the World Bank. And since that time, the GGKP has expanded considerably and now reflects a global partnership of 46 leading international organizations, research institutes, and think tanks. One of the strengths of the GGKP is that the partners and experts engaged reflect a wide range of disciplines. As you will note from the logos, our partners represent leading economic organizations, leading development organizations, and leading environment organizations. These partners share a few common beliefs that form the core mission of GGKP. The first is that knowledge can lead to lasting impact, and that mobilizing a green economy transition requires that policymakers in government and practitioners and institutions have cutting-edge knowledge and data to support their efforts. The second belief is that the economic transformation required to support sustainable development cannot be accomplished by any one institution working alone, but requires instead massive collaboration of institutions and experts. With these beliefs and mandate in mind, the GGKP focuses on three sets of activities, and this has largely become GGKP's mantra: generating, managing, and sharing knowledge. Our first area of work is focused on generating knowledge. The GGKP facilitates a collaborative process among the partner institutions and experts to identify major knowledge gaps in green growth theory and practice, and then to work collectively in promoting research to fill the identified gaps. In prioritizing the gaps in the knowledge identified, we challenge the experts to focus on those that are particularly difficult to address by any one organization and can only be accomplished through a major collaborative effort. We currently have 6 active research groups focused on specific green growth themes, including one on trade and competitiveness, indicators and metrics, a committee on fiscal instruments, one on inclusiveness, a committee on behavioral insights, and a final committee on green growth and the law. We have over 100 experts from over 30 of our partner organizations participating in these groups. Our second area of work is focused on knowledge management. Most of our knowledge management activities are implemented through our web platform, which Amanda will be providing a live demonstration of in just a moment. So let me turn to our third and final area of work, which is focused on knowledge sharing. Our knowledge sharing activities include both in-person events and virtual activities, such as our webinar series and social media engagement. By far our largest knowledge sharing activity is our annual conference, which draws together to share the most recent thinking, analysis, and concrete examples of how green growth is being applied. Our next annual conference, which will be jointly hosted by the Global Green Growth Institute and the Environment for Development Institution, will take place from 6 to 7 September this year on Jeju Island in the Republic of Korea. The conference is being organized around the theme, Transforming Development Through Inclusive Green Growth. We anticipate approximately 300 to 400 experts will participate in the event and will be exploring issues such as the distributional impacts from the green growth transition, questions around informal economy, gender, labor, and inclusive financing and investment issues. We encourage you to find out more about the annual conference on our web platform and hope to see you in Jeju in September. So now, speaking of the web platform, it is my pleasure to introduce my colleague Amanda McKee, who will be providing a live demonstration of our redesigned web platform. After Amanda's presentation, we will respond to them, so I encourage you to ask them. Amanda, the floor is now yours.
All right, thank you, Ben. So I'm going to share my screen here so that you can see the web platform as I go through it. And what I want to do today is just provide you a brief explanation of the knowledge and the data that we have on the GGKP web platform, and more importantly, walk you through the various ways that you can access it and explain a little bit about the major improvements that we've made over the past few months to really improve the user experience. And so just by way of background, the web platform was launched in January of 2014. And so over the last 2 and a bit years, we've been closely monitoring the analytics around the site. We've been talking to users to get their feedback. Last year, we carried out a comprehensive user survey where we actually gathered input from close to 700 of our web platform users and followed up with a number of in-depth interviews. This exercise was really important because it helped us to better understand our users. So, who are the people who are using the web platform? Why are they using it? What information are they really looking for to support their work? And it also allowed us to gather some insights on the web platform itself. So it really allowed us to look inwards. Why are some sections more popular than others? How easy is it actually for users to find the information that we have? And so through this process, we came up with a number of recommendations to really improve and streamline the user experience. And over the past few months, we've been working to implement these recommendations into the web platform that you see today. So just looking at the homepage, you'll immediately see some striking changes if you've been to the web platform before. The content backing the web platform is relatively unchanged. All we've done is we worked on the design and we worked on the way that we structure the content to provide a more seamless user experience. And so right away at the top of the website on the homepage, you'll see a highlight of some of the newest content that we're featuring. So information on blogs, events, webinars, new publications. This allows you to really dive into what's new and explore. Below that, we draw out some of the expert insights that we provide through our blog, and I'll go through that towards the end of my presentation. The biggest change that we made to the web platform was a rethinking of the pathways that we present users. So how users can actually access all of the knowledge that we have on the web platform. What are users looking for and how can we best assist them in finding relevant resources to support their work? One of the challenges is that green growth is a very broad topic. It cuts across a number of different sectors, themes, and it's implemented differently across different countries. The second challenge is that when we're talking about knowledge, this is a topic, and so knowledge can involve different types of publications. It can involve courses, data. And so we presented these new pathways to really guide users through these two different ways of thinking. important because on the web platform, we have a broad selection of data. We have over 2,000 knowledge products that we've collected from more than 300 expert organizations that work in this field. And so providing clear pathways to users is really important to help them to filter through this knowledge to find that which is most relevant to their work. So the first pathway, you'll be able to access it directly on the home page, and this is also reflected in the navigation bar as well, in terms of the sectors, themes, and country tabs that we have. And I'll go through each of those in a moment. I wanted to quickly highlight this first tab, though, in the navigation bar, which is Explore Green Growth. And here, what we've done is we've provided a little bit of information or background on what green growth actually means. How it's relevant to different sectors, and provided links to some key resources that our partner organizations are producing to give you just a quick flavor of how broad this topic is and important in terms of development agendas. So if you're just interested in exploring, I'd encourage you to start there. Coming back to these pathways, I want to first turn my attention to the pathways which really focus on the types of knowledge that we have. And so we've called these pathways or these databases global databases to really highlight the global nature of the content that we're pulling together. So we're not just pulling together information that we're producing, but we're pulling together information that leading organizations and experts around the world are producing on green growth, and categorizing it in a way that hopefully you can easily access and use in your work. So I just want to take a couple minutes to go through each of these databases, and I would encourage you as well after the webinar to explore and to let us know as well if you have any questions, if you're having trouble finding particular resources that you're interested in. So the first database, and our largest by far, is the library. And so the library currently includes, I believe, close to 1,400 publications, again, from leading organizations, experts, journals in this area. So when you come to the main page for the library, you'll get a quick overview of the latest publications, the latest things that have been produced. What I want to show you, though, is the navigation structure that we have on the right-hand side of the page. And so this is how we allow users to actually sort and filter through the content to find that which is most relevant to them. So users can search by sector, by theme, region, country, and the organization publishing that work. So just to show you an example, if I'm interested in publications on diversity, I can click on the tab here and filter the results. So you'll see now from those 1,400 publications we had initially, there's 72 publications that are relevant. So I've already helped to narrow that down a little bit. If I'm interested in a particular country, I can filter further. So if I'm interested in biodiversity in Costa Rica, I can select both of those tabs, and you'll see that now I'm left with 3 publications. So the results are a lot more manageable and really help you to kind of quickly discover what's most relevant for you and your work. So by browsing through, you can kind of get a quick overview of what the publications deal with, and by clicking on any one of them, you'll come to a detail page where we provide a little bit more information. And so on these detail pages, you'll see information on the authors, the organizations, but also a short abstract or summary of what the publication is about, a link to download it or to read it online. And then most importantly, in terms of the structure of the website, you'll see the different tags that we've associated with it. So this publication deals with biodiversity and tourism. In terms of themes, it deals with development and jobs. And so these tags are important because they really help us to create some of the structure that we have on the website. And when I go through the sector and theme and country sections in a moment, I'll highlight that to you so you can see how this content is automatically generating different areas of the website. The last thing I want to show you on the publications page is if you scroll down to the bottom underneath each publication, we're automatically generating some related resources that you might be interested in. So based on the tags that are associated with this publication, these are some recommendations that we have for additional publications you might be interested in browsing through. And so it's just a way for you to discover some of the new in this area that you might not have been aware of. The next database I want to go through is our learning database. And so this database has actually been redesigned completely from what we had on the new web platform, so it's got a whole new look and feel. Our aim here was to really kind of clarify the content that we have available through this database. And so just to quickly give you an overview, this database pulls together collection of knowledge products really meant to support learning around green growth, green economy, development of new skills. So this includes things like courses, both online and in-person courses, guidance documents or kind of checklist type documents, webinars such as the webinar series that the GGKP runs, but also webinars that our partners run as well. We provide links to different types of online platforms and tools that can provide you more information. And we also have information or links to different multimedia products. If you scroll down a little bit more, I just want to show you how you can access this information. So first, by clicking on any of these icons with the types, you can dive right into the database and see all of that content that we have. Alternatively, if you know more specifically what you're looking for, if you're looking for a very specific product, you can actually just type in the keyword and search directly from here. Or if you're just interested in browsing through what different organizations are doing in this field, you can use the drop-down menu for organizations and browse here. And again, if you recall at the beginning, I mentioned that the web platform draws together content from over 300 organizations. And so, just by browsing through these lists, you can get a really good sense or overview of the different organizations that are producing content and working in this field. So I'll just show you an example. If we're interested in looking at knowledge products, learning products, I should say, being developed by GIZ, we can filter the results there. Once you get to this browse page, you'll see that there's 4 items in our database that GIZ has done. And similar to what we had in the library, we also have filters again on the right-hand side of the page. And here you can filter through type, for instance. So if I'm just interested in finding, the different platforms or tools that GIZ has, I can filter there. I can click on any one of these products and again get a short summary, some of the key information about it, and a link to actually access that learning product. The third database, our global database that we have on the GGKP web platform, is our project database. So this one is a bit different in that it's really highlighting examples of on-the-ground initiatives that are being used to promote or implement green growth. And so these are projects being led by our partner organizations, but also by other leading organizations. And the way that we populate this, we work with our partners, inviting them to submit content, but we also have an online form where we encourage users to the web platform to actually enter in projects that their organization is working on so that we can share them through this database and make sure that others are aware of the work that's going on there. I won't go through this section in detail. I'd encourage you to look through. But just like all of the databases, again, content is filtered or filterable by sector, theme, country, and region. So if you're interested in a particular country or topic, you can quickly access a selection of projects that are being implemented and get a quick overview of the different organizations that are working in that country or on that topic. The last database that I want to walk you through is the Data Explorer. And this one is quite different than the other ones in that it's actually a collection of data sets. And we've built this tool to allow users to visualize and explore trends across different countries, across time, and across indicators. So I'll just walk you through a quick example of how you can use this Data Explorer. And this is actually one of the key tools that we revamped with the redesign of the website. So we've done a little bit of work to improve the user experience and how you can visualize the data, how you can interpret it and understand it. So the first thing to do is to use the drop-down menus and select a country. From there, you can select indicators. We have a collection of 20 different green growth indicators on the web platform. And so these cut across a number of different categories, looking at the socioeconomic context, indicators on the natural asset base, environmental resource productivity, environmental quality of life. So just as an example, I'll select population exposure to air pollution, and this is looking at PM 2.5 concentrations. From here, I can actually select as many countries as I want to be able to compare across countries and see what trends look like over time. All of the countries are categorized by region, so it's fairly easy to sort through and look for what, or narrow results to what you're looking for. So here I've selected 3 countries. By scrolling over the chart, I'll see a little bit more information in terms of the actual number and the year. If you're interested in expanding your time range, a lot of the data sets that we have on the web platform actually go back to all the way to 1960, and so you can adjust the time range here for what you look at. The other thing that you can do is, right now we're looking at the line chart view, but we also have a bubble chart view, which allows you to select a secondary indicator to start to compare indicators to each other, to see some of the trends or the correlations that exist. So I'm going to just show you an example here, and as a secondary indicator, I'll select GDP per capita. And so now what you see on the chart is a selection of bubbles. And so the larger the bubble, the larger that secondary indicator is. So if I look at the United States here in orange, the bubble sizes aren't that different in terms of differentiation of size, but if you scroll over, you can see the actual changes in that secondary indicator in GDP per capita. And so you can see that as GDP is getting larger, PM 2.5 concentrations are falling. So this is just a really interesting way for users to kind of start to play with the data and understand what green growth looks like across different countries and across different indicators. So again, I'd encourage you to kind of take the time to go through this tool, and definitely reach out to us if you have questions on this, or if you've found any interesting correlations that you want to share as well. So that's the last global database I wanted to highlight. What I wanted to do next is go through this second type of pathway that I was talking about. And this is the pathway in terms of what does green growth mean across different sectors, different themes, and different countries. Because not everyone is looking for particular types of knowledge products. Often people are interested in a particular topic. For instance, if you're an agriculture expert or if you're a fiscal expert, we've provided a way for you to quickly access the content that we have that would be relevant for you. So looking first at countries, if you're interested in learning about green growth within a particular country, you can explore the map that we have here. And so through the map, you can select different regions and narrow down then to individual countries. So we have both the interactive map, if you're a visual person, if your geography is good. Otherwise, if you want to just look alphabetically, we also have a drop-down list with countries. So I'm going to show you the Ethiopia page just as an example. And so on this page, we're drawing together all of the content that's been tagged on the web platform with Ethiopia. And so this includes all of the content from the global databases, the projects, the publications. It also includes the data. And so here, this is really interesting because you can get a really quick overview of the different data points and what it looks like in Ethiopia's context. So in the first column here, you'll see the latest value. So this is the most recent data point that we have on that country. But to put it in context, we've also included trend lines, so showing you historically how that data point has evolved over time. So whether we're seeing an upward tick or a downward tick in terms of that country's performance. And again, if you click on any of these trends, you can actually go directly to the Data Explorer and start to play around with the data, compare countries, compare cross indicators. In the left-hand column here, you'll see again, these are projects that have been tagged by Ethiopians, so they're automatically being pulled onto this page so that you can quickly get an overview of what. Similarly, at the bottom here on the right, we have the latest publications being pulled in. The last thing I want to highlight on this page is all of the policies that we're pulling in and links. And so we've gone through each of the countries. We have 193 country pages on the web platform. And we've identified what relevant policies governments are implementing on green growth. And so here you can just get a sense and click through any of these to read more. But these pages are meant to just give you a really quick but quite detailed overview of green growth across different fields in the country. Very similar to the country pages, we have these sector and these theme pages. So the difference here is that these pages are pulling together content based on particular topics. So in terms of themes, we have topics like climate change, government procurement, gender, indicators and measurements. And in terms of sectors, again, it cuts across a broad range of sectors. So agriculture, forestry, manufacturing. Just to show you an example, I'll walk you through the energy page that we have. So again, this page is being automatically generated in terms of the content or the resources that it's pulling in. So everything that we've uploaded to the web platform that's been tagged with energy being automatically reflected on this page. So giving you a really thorough but quick overview of the knowledge that exists and allowing you to explore further. What we've done as well is we've created a short description of the topics of energy and why it's really relevant for the topic of green growth, what the linkages are. And one of the key changes that we've just launched this new round of work is that we've further pulled out the relevance of these different sectors and these different themes to the SDGs, to the Sustainable Development Goals. Our thinking here is that green growth is really a development pathway, and it's a way to support the SDGs. And so a lot of the resources and content that we have on the web platform is directly applicable to people who are working on SDGs and on the implementation of the goals. So as an example, on the energy page, we've drawn out the relevance between the energy sector in relation to green growth and SDG 7, which looks at energy issues. So we provide a little bit of description to the links, but then what we've really done is we've identified particular targets, SDG targets, and linked them to the various resources that we have on the web platform that are important or that can help support the implementation or achievement of those targets. So for instance, SDG target 7.2, which is looking at renewable energy in the energy mix, if you click on this button, this will take you to a site-wide search where we've actually narrowed the results to all of the content that we have that could potentially support you in your work here. So again, I mean, these are fairly broad topics still, and so you'll see we have 94 items that are potentially relevant to you. But again, what we have here is these filters that I was walking you through earlier. And so if you are interested in a particular type of resource, or you're interested in a particular country or region, can actually narrow down these results again and hopefully find the knowledge products that are most relevant and will best support your work. The last thing I want to show you in this main navigation bar is the Insights blog that the GGKP manages. And this represents a whole different type of knowledge. So this is really more soft knowledge around what people are thinking and what their kind of latest thoughts are on different topics. And so through the blog, we provide a space for leading practitioners and experts working in the field of green growth to share some of their thoughts on their new research, on new projects, on upcoming events. And so I'd encourage you again to browse through the lists. We post about 2 blogs a week, and they really come from a wide range of actors working in this area, and is a really great way to kind of stay on top of what the latest thinking is. Turning my attention just quickly before I wrap up, I want to look at this top navigation bar and just highlight a couple things for you. Here you can find a bit more information about the GGKP. So if you're interested in our mission, finding out information about our newsletter, our annual report, or some of the people behind the GGKP, you can click there to browse. The Research Committee tab is directly related to what Ben was mentioning at the top of this webinar in terms of the GGKP's research or generating knowledge activities. And so all of the research committees that we're currently managing, you can find information for each of them on this page. So by clicking and exploring, you can look at who the actual members of those research committees are. You can get a sense of the priorities that they're focusing on, and you can also directly access any of the research or publications that they're producing. So just a view of the work that's going on there. We have a news feed and we have an events feed as well. And these are just great ways to really stay on top of kind of the latest developments in terms of job postings, kind of new projects or new initiatives being implemented by organizations. And the events feed, again, is a way to kind of stay on top of all events that are going on related to green growth. And so we include both our own events, but mostly we include our partner events. And so this gives you a really good overview of some of the activities that you might be interested in engaging in. So through this page, just by clicking on any of the titles, you'll come to a detail page where you can find more information. For instance, this is our page on the GGKP's next annual conference, highlighting before. So I'd encourage you again to kind of check out this section to stay on top of the latest events. The other way that you can actually stay on top of what we're doing is to sign up for the newsletter. And so at the bottom of every page on the website, there's actually an easy subscribe button there. And so just by filling in your information there, you can access our newsletter, which goes out about once a month and pulls together the latest research, the latest learning products and events that were reflected on the web platform. So understanding that users, can't always get to the web platform as frequently as they may like, the newsletter is a great way to stay on top of new content that you may have missed. The last thing, just before I wrap up, that I want to walk you through, I want to show you, is another change that we made to the web platform in terms of a tool that we've adjusted. So one of the comments that we received through this user survey I was talking about at the beginning was that users coming from non-English speaking countries often have difficulty accessing the information that exists on web platforms like this. We had thought about this when we initially launched the web platform, and we'd integrated a Google Translate widget. Unfortunately, the way that we had integrated it wasn't very obvious. So what we've done with this redesign is we've pulled it out and made it more explicit here in the top navigation bar. So you'll see this select language button. And here you can actually select any of the languages that Google Translate translates into. So I'll just select French as an example here. When you click on it, the website is instantaneously translated into that language. So a couple of kind of caveats to point out here. You know, this is based on Google Translate, and so the translation isn't always perfect, but our hope is that users understand how Google Translate works and understand the limitations. I think, though, that it does give a fairly good overview of the content that we have. The interesting thing as well is that as you click on any of the links on the website, once the Translate widget has been activated, that actually carries through with you. So you'll see that the website is still appearing in French as I click through and go to these different areas. So that's just one quick tool I wanted to walk you through. You know, we can switch back to English here as well. It's fairly instantaneous and works quite well. So with that, I'll wrap up my presentation, and I'll turn it back to Ben, who I believe will open it up for questions and answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. That was a tour de force of the web platform, so greatly appreciated. As you mentioned, it's now the question and answer part of the webinar, and we've already received quite a few questions from various participants. I would encourage those of you that haven't sent in questions but have them, please do so, and we'll try our best to address them. So we have a few initial questions. The first question was from Shayamadas Bernini, and asking whether or not there's scope for individual independent researchers to participate in the technical committees. And then a second question around the issue of resilience, which is obviously a critical topic for climate adaptation, and whether or not we plan to have a research committee on that topic. So both very, very good questions. In terms of individual independent researchers, we actually do have many individual independent researchers participating in the research working groups. Typically, it's the co-chairs of the research working groups researchers to join, and basically what they do is they look around at the nominations from the experts, the institutional experts, and then identify if there's a need to have additional outside expertise join them in the committee. So it's quite possible. And if you're particularly interested in joining one of the committees, please do reach out to us and let us know, and we'll let the co-chairs of those committees know as well, and they'll consider the nomination. In terms of the question on resilience, that's a very timely question. We're actually in the process of considering launching a new committee on potentially resilience and infrastructure. And so that's certainly an issue that we've also identified as critical going forward, and are currently working with some of our partners to develop a scoping note to see whether or not a research committee around that topic would be viable. It's a good question. We also had a question from another participant. Do you have plans for linking open data at some stage with the web platform? So Amanda, maybe I'll turn it over to you to respond to that question.
Sure. And just quickly, in terms of resilience, is that on the web platform, under the themes that we have, we actually have a theme page on risk and resilience. So there's already some resources that we have on the web platform, and so if that's a topic that you're interested in, I'd encourage you to look at that page. On linked open data, this is a really interesting question, because one of the things that we're trying to do with the web platform, because we're drawing content and data from a number of different sources and a number of different partners, we want to do it in the smartest way possible to ensure that we can really reflect the latest thinking that's out there. So currently, a lot of the content that we add is done in a very manual process. And so we identify the content, we upload it ourselves. But one of the improvements that that we're planning to do in the next year or two is to actually integrate some linked open data technologies into the web platform so that we can automate a lot of that. So basically what the linked open data would allow us to do is, if we look at the country pages where I was showing you the overview of these data points, instead of us manually having to update these data sets every year, linked open data would allow for that data set to automatically populate based on the content on the web platform where we're pulling it. So for instance, if we're pulling data from the World Bank, as soon as the World Bank updates their data, the data that we have on the GGKP would be automatically updated. So this is definitely one kind of trend or one kind of tech avenue that we want to explore and go down.
Excellent. Thank you. We have a second question for you, Amanda, from Nabil Haq, and he writes, can individual authors share their open access published journal articles related to green growth in the library? Is that possible?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a great question. And so the majority of the publications we have in the library are coming from our partner organizations, but we're also really open to sharing other publications, other research as well. We have a few kind of minimum criteria that we set in order to add publications. So we require that the work is published. So we try to stay away from working papers. If it's a journal published paper, definitely that falls within the criteria. We're also looking for actual pieces of serious research. So kind of, 2-page thought pieces we'll stay away from. But if it's a longer journal article, I definitely encourage you to email it to us to let us know about it, and we'll definitely take a look and see if it's relevant and upload it to the web platform and more importantly share it with the community so that they're aware of this research.
Great, thank you. We have a question from Laura Turley, Amanda, and I have to confess I'm not sure I know the answer to this, although I think I might know the answer to this. She asks, is it possible to export graphs, presumably from the Data Explorer once you've developed the graphs? So over to our knowledge management expert.
Yeah, so unfortunately this isn't possible. There are a lot of kind of out-of-the-box tools for graphing and charts like that that would allow you to kind of save that graph and use it in your own work. The tool that we've developed, and so that's one of the things, unfortunately, that we weren't able to work into it. The one option, the old school option is to take screenshots. We have no reservations with users kind of taking that content and sharing it however they want to. Unfortunately, we just haven't been able to implement the tools to allow you to do that easily. But hopefully at some point in the future, as we implement more changes on the web platform, that's something that we can think about. See how.
Obviously, the web platform has spent some effort trying to link much of the knowledge to the SDGs. Are there any plans to somehow link countries' commitments under the Paris Agreement, the NDCs, to the platform? Have you and the team thought through that?
Yeah, exactly. So on the country pages that I was going through, we have this section where we draw out relevant green growth policies. And so one thing that we're actually working on right now is identifying the NDCs that countries have committed to and making sure they're on those pages, because this is extremely important in terms of the links between climate change and green growth. And so it's just another important policy that we want to have reflected on that page. So if users come back, within the next month, they'll be able to quickly access the NDCs for countries directly through those country pages that we're hosting.
Great, okay. We have a new question from Jeffrey Lipman. He asks whether it's possible to get a sectoral output from the platform, i.e. Travel and tourism specific outputs. I'm not sure, I confess I'm not sure exactly what's meant by output in this context, but perhaps you know, it's a question about.
Mm-hmm. So I'll try to answer, and you know, Jeffrey, let us know if you're looking for something different. But in terms of the sector and theme pages that I was walking through earlier, those are, I guess, static pages in the sense that you can only look at one particular sector or one particular theme at a time. So you can get a quick overview of tourism, or you can get an overview of transportation as a sector. If you're interested in seeing any kind of linkages between different sectors or different themes, you'll then have to go into the different databases that we have, or just the site-wide search. And from there, using the filters, you can actually select any combination that you want. So if you're interested in tourism and transport, you can select those two tags and see everything that's touching on those two topics. From there, you can even narrow down further if you're interested in a particular country or region, or the work that any one organization is working on.
Second question from Nabil. He asks that in the past, you know, in his own work, he's done some donor mapping for projects, green growth projects in countries. And he noticed that a donor mapping is not included in the country project database or the country pages. And I think it's a question of you know, whether or not that would also be useful information to include, and possibly using some of the work that he's already undertaken.
So, I mean, that's a great idea. Unfortunately, I don't have a very good answer for that. I think you know, the GGKP has a lot of different ideas in the pipeline in terms of different products that we can provide users. So donor mapping is potentially one thing that we could explore. You know, this is kind of the idea that we're implementing through the project database in terms of highlighting where different organizations are working and on what topics, so that, you know, people can start to reach out to the right people, the right resources, and know who's working on that or in that area. One, or I guess a couple tools that we're thinking about implementing are around different types of databases, around experts, around different organizations working in fields. And so all of this, I think, kind of links up with donor mapping, but definitely food for thought in terms of the new databases and the new content that we look to build as we expand the web platform.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, Amanda, I don't see any more questions, so we'll probably wrap up. Is there anything that you would, any comments you would like to close with?
The only thing I would say is to encourage users to browse through the web platform, and to definitely reach out if you have additional questions, additional comments. All of the work that we implemented now was based directly on recommendations that we received from talking to users. And so we really value this input, and we really want to hear about what's important for you so that we can better structure and improve the website to support your user experience. I'll just leave it at that.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. So seeing no more questions, we will now go ahead and close the webinar. So on behalf of Amanda, myself, and the entire GGKP Secretariat, we'd like to thank you for joining us today to learn more about the GGKP, in particular our new redesigned web platform. We encourage you to explore, as Amanda said, the analysis and data provided on the platform. And just to echo Amanda again, please do send us your feedback. It's really important for us, as the site is constantly evolving, and we're doing our best to try and match the needs of the green growth community. Thank you so much.